Hello, everyone, and welcome to Career Day. Career Day is an initiative by Tututusa. We believe that information empowers people. Our professional this week is Phathu Ngcobo, a qualified speech and language therapist and also educational product developer. Phatu will be taking us through her career journeys and sharing a bit on what she does on a day-to-day basis. If you like this video, remember to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on our amazing series. Remember to share with your friends, as this could be helpful to them as well.
Hi, everybody. My name is Phathu Ngcobo. I am from South Africa, Johannesburg, and I've lived in Johannesburg my whole life, so I don't have a interesting story about where else I come from. One of those people. I love living in Johannesburg because it's very different from other parts of the country in that there are people from everywhere who live here, and particularly people from different parts of the country. So you get a nice glimpse of different languages, different cultures living here. So that's what I love most about it. I am a mom and I work for a publishing company as a product developer. I develop educational products for schools and for parents. And I have been doing this work for the last 8 years. So before I went into the publishing company, I actually worked as a speech therapist at different schools and working with parents and with children with different educational needs and with also different speech and language disorders. So I'm going to tell you, because I actually have two careers, so I will tell you a little bit about both. So the first one, which is being a speech therapist, and I heard about this career when I was in grade 11, and we had to basically do some research about applying for universities. I knew that I wanted to work with people, but I wasn't sure how and in what space. So upon doing my research, I looked at physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and then I found speech therapy, which I found very fascinating because everybody uses speech. It might not be a standard of speech that we understand it as with sound, but everybody needs to communicate. So I found it interesting that all over the world, people who were not using speech as a mode of communication had developed all these wonderful techniques to communicate. And I think I was also drawn to it because if you can't communicate with the people in your environment, then you cannot share your ideas, you cannot share your interests. And I think that is a disservice where if the environment does not allow people to be able to do that. So I love communication. I think that's what has brought me into the speech therapy part of things. I also then decided to leverage off the technology that's available now, like your Instagram and those type of channels, to also share information. So now that I'm not seeing patients or working with parents directly, I wanted to create a platform to share information for parents and teachers and people who work with children, and especially South African children, because our context is a bit different and our children are different, our families are different, and we sort of need more local solutions for some of the problems that we encounter, and because I just find us very interesting as a people. And my specific interest in the African languages is that, living in this country where we've got so many diverse languages and cultures, but when it comes to access to content and education and materials, we really only prioritize two, which is a travesty. And I wanted to be a part of the solution. So, as I mentioned, we initially we service mostly schools, and a lot of schools in the country allow children to learn in different African languages, but those schools are mostly based in rural areas and peri-urban areas. So we wanted to create resources for those parents that are maybe taking their children to an English medium or an Afrikaans medium school, but also want to bring in this African languages teaching, and we wanted to give parents the tools. So that's the whole point of having the Indigenous Platform. But in my other life, my actual job, I also work with teachers and parents. So my team basically designs products to try and assist teachers and parents. And I find that I use my speech therapy knowledge, and then I couple that when I come up with the products and the product designs. So I went to high school in the Midlands at a school called St. Anne's Diocesan College for Girls. And yeah, it was a boarding school. So I lived at school and we'd come home in the holidays and half term. And my top marks were in English and speech and drama and history. Those were my top marks. And I think the subjects that helped me a lot after high school would have been definitely the critical skills that you learn from subjects like history, and how do you express yourself in subjects like English, and definitely speech and drama, because to gain your self-confidence and also to be able to analyze things and try and look at the human aspect of why things are a certain way or why people think a certain way. And those sort of subjects, I think, are important, not only just the maths and the science, which are equally as important, but I think sometimes we don't look at the critical skills that are actually brought by those other subjects that are not necessarily core science and mathematics. For my university, I went to Stellenbosch University. I didn't particularly choose to go there, but there were only 3 universities at the time that were offering the degree that I wanted to do in the way that I wanted to do it. And that was Stellenbosch, UCT, and Wits. So I didn't want to come back to Johannesburg, so then Stellenbosch kind of chose me. And the course is called Speech and Hearing Therapy. So you have to do the courses that are in there, and it includes things like anatomy, psychology, and research methodologies, things like that. And then obviously core speech therapy subjects that will allow you to help people. So you'll be learning how to handle if somebody has a stroke, how to handle and assess somebody who has a feeding problem, how to handle and assess somebody who has a hearing loss. So very direct sort of subjects. It's not like the other degrees where you can choose. It's very specific. And then when I wanted to go into publishing, I knew that I needed to also give myself a bit of an academic edge, because I needed to understand the process of what I was doing, designing products and all that stuff. So then I studied to do an honors degree at Wits in publishing studies, and that really gave me a lot more of the business insight to what I'm doing. So you also couldn't choose the subject; it was prescribed in the honors program. But we studied things like marketing and product design and strategy, which I find has really helped me in the work that I do. So my first degree was a 4-year degree, so it took me 4 years to qualify as a speech therapist. And then for the publishing degree, it was 1 year to do the honors, because I had already had a previous honors degree, so I didn't have to do from scratch. And the one thing that got me through was that I'm really interested in learning, and it was learning about something different. And it was also that I had decided that I wanted to work in the product development part of things. So I think my interest really fueled me. And I paid for my undergraduate fees. I didn't pay for myself. I was lucky enough that my parents paid for my degree. And though my honors course, was doing it part time, so I had a job, so I had to work, save, and then enroll into the honors course, and then pay through as I worked through it. So what I do on a daily basis is that we basically identify problems. So we walk around and it's very research based, and we talk to teachers and we visit schools and we talk to parents. So we try to understand what the needs of our customers are. And then once we've done that, then we go through a vigorous brainstorming session with my team, and then we come up with different products, and there's a lot of testing and moving of products and deciding to scrap a product and all of that. But sometimes we don't get the opportunity to really sit and work because of, sometimes we have to turn things around very quickly. I really enjoy the fact that we can see when we've put in a product in a school, or we design and we get feedback from parents and teachers, and we can actually see the end results and the added benefit of what we do, which is, I find, quite fulfilling. So the day in, in my life, so my mornings are very busy because we tend to meet in the mornings because that's where we have the brightest ideas, and short meetings. We don't have long meetings as a team. And then most of my days would be doing research, or sitting and trying to conceptualize things. I spend most of my day conceptualizing things. And then the afternoon part will be more going to visit the clients, going to see the teachers. But now it's obviously on Zoom, and talking to our suppliers, meeting with the printers, making sure all the projects that are in the pipeline are done on time. Yeah. What I like most about what I do is that it allows me to be creative and innovative, and it's people facing. So we interact with schools from all over the country. What I don't like about my career is that sometimes there's a lot of red tape, and it can make it difficult and disheartening to keep pushing through and making the stuff, or coming up with ideas, and then, policies change, or, schools change their minds, or whatever the case is. So that's what I don't like. But my profession is not exactly everything I thought it would be, because I've kind of created my own thing. So that's quite nice, because it's sort of, I make it what I would like it to be. And my starting pay as a speech therapist, I think then, was like 8,000 Rand, because you had to do an internship at a hospital, and that was the starting pay. And then after you'd done your community service, then from there, you would then move up depending on if you're going to be staying at a hospital or working in private practice. So the pay depends on where you work. And in the publishing product development space, the pays also vary, because I actually can't tell you how much I earn, because it's different every month, and it's different depending on the season. My dream is to basically to be a part of an ecosystem that services our country, our children, the teachers, and actually where we can transcend the limitations of our environment, and just reach our full potential using the tools that we have at hand. At this point in time, I think those who are looking and deciding on a career path, I think we look at it as not just a destination, not an end goal, but you're building a life. We're not a different person when you're at work to how you are in your life. Yes, obviously you need to make money, you need to live a certain type of life depending on what you're looking for and your ambitions. But I think sometimes we get so boggled down about ticking the boxes, and we forget that a career is a portion of your whole life. It's not your whole life. So try to keep the bigger picture in mind and have fun. Choose something that you're going to enjoy, because at the end of the day, that is what is going to make you successful. You have to enjoy what you do, and don't be afraid to move on from it and choose a different path if it's no longer serving you. And the world is your oyster. Enjoy and be brave.